Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Friday afternoon webinar series. We've invited a special guest this afternoon, Mark Redding. Mark's got our South Coast franchise and has been a great contributor to our franchise group over the years. And I really value Mark's insight into business and particularly, obviously, our business as builders. And I know Mark and I share a common view on lots of different things, and also obviously Mark's got his unique perspective on lots of things which I really value. So this afternoon we're just going to have an interview style conversation with Mark, and I'm hoping this format we can repeat with a few different builders in the group as we try and learn from each other, because I think a franchise environment's one of those unique environments you can learn from each other in a really collaborative way. And I know Mark will be unreserved in sharing his opinions, and I really value that. So thanks for joining us, Mark.
Not a problem at all.
I know one of the challenges we all face as builders is clients, and clients come in every colour of the rainbow, and you've seen that full spectrum of colour and the clients you've had over the years. So firstly, Mark, I'm interested in maybe just sharing about some of the techniques you use to manage a client's expectation and try and get a client on the right journey to start with. How do you guys do that?
The way we like to do it is communication always. So keep them informed. The more they're informed and the more you keep in contact with them, the better it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse for a client when they're hearing nothing from you. So even if nothing is happening, we still get in contact with them and tell them nothing is happening. We're just waiting for counsel or we're doing something. Let them know all the time. They hate it when they just don't hear anything.
Yeah.
The other thing is to keep them rigid on the processes.
Yeah.
If you run the processes with them, you really enforce that they can't come on site unless you're there. Your variations are going to have an admin fee if you do an admin fee, all those sorts of things. Because once you deviate from them, it'll bite you every time. We've had it all the time. Just as an example, we had one the other day, and the clients know what the process is. If they want something done, they'll let the office know, we'll write up a variation, they sign it, and away we go. One of these, the plaster was going on shortly. He rang up the supervisor, says, I want a extra PowerPoint in. Can we get that done? The supervisor was thinking, well, the plaster's going on short. I need to get it done straight away. He gave an idea of the cost. He said, yep. So he got the electrician down, got the PowerPoint in, and then, we wrote up the variation, sent it off, and then he said, no, he says, I don't want that now. And it was too late. The work had already done. We're going to have to pay for it. The line's already in. As soon as you deviate from the supervisor should have said to him, he was a site foreman actually. He should have said to him, look, it's just too late. You can't do it here.
So Mark, you're having those conversations really early with the client, or what's the timing?
Absolutely. Yeah, right at contract stage is where we like to do it. Obviously with COVID at the moment, we have had a bit of separation from them, so we send them a DocuSign and they've done a bit of that, but as much as I can, I prefer to sit down with them. I might take, if they're signing in the office, and I still might get them to sign DocuSign in the office, but I will sit down with them and we'll spend an hour or an hour and a half and just go through the contract. I'll hit all the high points, what's happening with the variation, what they're allowed to do on site, how it all runs, that sort of stuff, where they can expect some overruns, what period, stuff like that.
So you're positioning all those expectations before you have to encounter them.
Absolutely. Yeah, the more you can cover with them, the better it is. The more they understand it. I know we're not solicitors and stuff, but you certainly know enough about the.
You don't have to be a solicitor to have those conversations, do you? Yeah. All right. So sounds like you're reinforcing the communication guarantee or your commitment to communication as part of the sales journey.
Absolutely.
You're positioning that. Are you giving them access to the client portal from the prelim services stage?
Yes, we do. Yeah. They can have access there. Some love it, some don't want to know about it. You know,
Yeah.
they do, it doesn't worry,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
at least the option's there for them.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Yeah, but we do give them access to that. We just got to be, you know, we're just selective on what photos go in and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
sure, yeah, yeah.
We don't want them seeing all the. I'm not saying there's things that are wrong, but you know what it's like. You don't want something where there's a heap of trades doing, you know, sitting around having a drink at the afternoon, like not having a beer because you're not allowed to do that on site. But you just got pictures of all the tradies sitting down having their lunch all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So we just put relevant photos up.
Yeah. No, that's a good discipline. Good. So I guess the next thing I want to touch on is subcontractors, because on one hand, you're trying to manage the client expectation. On the other hand, you've got this set of contractors that are largely responsible for delivering a sizable part of the project. So how have you gone about managing subcontractors' expectations over the years?
Yeah, the way we go, we do the subby pack that's in iGyro. We do that all the time. So we send that out, make sure they got all their insurances, all that's, they can't start on site until all that's taken care of.
Yeah.
So we really start from that point to make sure it's under control. We sit down with them, we meet them, work out whether we can work with them to start with, try and get a handle on what they're like. Some subbies you just can't work with, just like some clients, you know, or the other way around, you know, sometimes we're not the right fit for them either.
Yeah.
And we work on that. It's all about setting out your prices, make sure you can get on with them, work out what the quality is we expect. So you've got to tell them that from day one.
So setting the prices, Mark, you're issuing a purchase order at a certain price?
Yes,
yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we do. We get a price list off them. We work out what they're, you know, whether it's a square metre rate or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just quoted from them. We'll get a quote off them and then we issue the purchase order before they start. And away we go. We have done it the other way, but it just turns into a bit of a shambles.
Yeah.
Really, the purchase order is the best thing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
So you'd mostly have a consistent team of subcontractors that you've built up over the years.
Yeah, absolutely, and a real core group that have stayed with us. Some, what's the word, self-selected out. You know, if they find that we're too particular with our quality, you know, it's not the suit for them. They don't want to come back and fix things up and stuff, or they're not suitable, and away they go. And the other thing is, to make sure to price check them every now and again. If they're giving quotes, especially like concreters or framing companies, as an example, we were using a framing company. I've been using them for 30 years. They've been bought out by another company, and I thought it was a great opportunity to try a couple of other companies. And all of a sudden, I'm 12 grand cheaper, you know, because it's just going from another company. Yeah. So it's well worthwhile price checking every now and again for sure. Yeah.
So subcontractors that are doing your work and putting their hand out every time for this extra and that extra, I mean, you're encountering that?
We do. We find probably painters are one of the worst for that. You know, everything they touch seems to be an extra. But we've worked our way through that. The supervisors are educated on that pretty well. They'll just go back and say, no, you know, that's what you've got to be doing. Or if it is, they'll probably agree to it beforehand. And we talk to them about it. Because if they do have an extra now, we're saying you're not getting paid for any extras unless there's a purchase order for it. So if you know that there's something coming up that's an extra, let us know. We'll give you a purchase order and away we go if it's legitimate.
Yeah.
And that cuts a lot of those odd ones out right at the end where they come out of nowhere.
Yeah. So a couple of times there, Mark, you've mentioned processes. Sounds like you're very defined with your processes.
Yeah, as much as I can be. Coming from a bit of an old school background, I tend to get a bit lax on it. But luckily, I've got some staff here that are very good. You know, ones like Lacey and some of the others in here. They really keep me on the track with the processes, and it's proven time and time again how valuable it is for sure.
Yeah. So those processes, you use the gyro task list fairly robustly to move through the admin process?
Yeah, yes and no. We use that as a real good guide for us, but like I said, everything's just got to get adapted to how you work and how your subbies work and that sort of stuff. Sure. But yeah, it's a really good basis to get moving.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes we do it a bit different to what it is in that task. We just move them around to suit us.
But nevertheless, you're staying consistent in your processes, and then your staff can understand what the process is and follow it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it allows your business to grow because everyone understands what the process is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's invaluable. Yeah, you just get a bit lost without it. You know, if someone's away and they haven't recorded it in iGyro, like we want all the things recorded. If someone writes to us and says, "Oh, what's happening here?" you can look up what the last ones are. If someone hasn't put it in, well, then you're replying to them, and then they write back and say, "That's not what the last person told us," you know. And they're away on holidays, and you can't pick it up, so you just need it there.
Yeah, good. I think it's so important for a builder that's kicking off to go, well, why do I need processes? You know, I'm the only one that needs to work this out. And yet you can't ever see growth unless processes are put in place from day one.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, and you might be the only one there, but often, you know, there is someone else, you know, whether it's your wife, if it's a husband and wife team, or, you know, one employee or something like that. If there's a process, like, well, you know yourself, I've been down with a broken leg, you know, a few things like that, and all of a sudden you're out of the way. If I was the only one, you know, it all comes to a stop. So all of a sudden the place can keep moving without you if it has to.
Yeah, it's really important. I know, Mark, you've shared with me, you've got some display homes currently operational, you've got some planned. What you found display homes an important part of your sales mix, have you?
At the stage we are, yes, we do. It's just about generating leads, and if you're in a complex with a heap of other builders, that's where everyone goes to. You know, all of a sudden you're getting 20 people through on a weekend, and that's just 20 leads. You convert 10% of them. You know, there's 2 leads that are going a lot closer. You know, it's a great lead generation. Now it's not the be all the end all, because you'll have, you know, social media referrals and all other sorts of ways. But if you want it to grow and get going, it's a fair cost, obviously, to get into a display home. There are ways to minimise that. I found our suppliers are really good for you once you're doing a display home. They've been great. And but yeah, it just generates those leads, and that's what building's all about. You need people in the door to be able to keep going, and it works well for us.
A numbers game. So you've got 1 open and 1 planned. Is that the status?
We did have 2 open. One was more just we didn't build that. We built it for a client, and then we were just leasing it back off them, just as a weekly rate, which wasn't too bad. And we were using that as like open by appointment. It was the only one we had that was close to us, so it worked out well. The other one was up the Highlands. Well, we've closed the one down that's here now. In another 6 months' time, we're just in the process of getting approvals for our other one, and we're going into a housing world site. So we'll be in there with all the Mac Joneses and the Allworths of the world. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, good. And you've also shared that you're not closed to just having an office. That's also worked for you. You've got the office that you're talking to us from there now, which is your main admin office. Yep. And then you're planning a satellite office.
And we are planning a satellite. We're opening a shop front, which is about an hour and a half down the coast. We've had a fair bit of inquiry from down that way without advertising. So we did a bit of a social media campaign down that way as a bit of an experiment, and it generated a lot more leads for us. And we're actually going in with a few other companies there. So there's a draft person, there's a broker, mortgage broker, there's a company that does town planning and surveying and certification. So the 4 of us are going in together. It's just a low cost way to do it. And it's like a bit of a one-stop shop. And away we go.
It's a really good idea. I think that'll be an excellent.
And the good thing is it's not really another staff member for me, because we're just going to have it open by, you know, like by appointment. Some of the other blokes will be there more regularly. So it's not a matter of having walk-ins, it's a matter of just getting the appointments, and then we'll meet them there. We can operate off each other's advertising.
it's often the way, isn't it, that a satellite office is not going to see a lot of walk-ins, but when you do see a client, it's positioning you as someone that's genuine about being in the market because you have a shop front in that town.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and you know, like a lot cheaper than a display home.
Yeah.
Because we're building this other one, I wasn't really in a position to do another display home down there, but this is a good opportunity for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Now, I heard you touch along the way there that you're charging an admin fee for variations.
That's right.
Have you always done that?
We've done it for probably 5 years or so. Yeah.
How much is it?
We do $350.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any variation, $350 is the starting point.
Starting point, whether they go ahead or not.
Yeah.
Because it's the admin fee, you know, like all it is that if you don't have an admin fee, they'll ask you for a variation every day. How much for this, and how much for this, and how much for this?
Sure.
Whereas if they know there's a cost to it. Now, sometimes we do let it go if they're like a really good client and it's just a matter of moving a PowerPoint from this side to that side.
Sure.
You know, we'll still write up a variation, but because there was no cost involved and stuff like that, sometimes we won't do the admin fee. We always make sure we do that. Whatever change they make, we write a variation.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than getting to the end of the job, and then if there's no record of it, and they're saying that PowerPoint's supposed to be over there,
Yeah.
And you need that record. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. So the similar process with your maintenance, I understand. So you tell me about that. How do you position your maintenance?
Yeah, our maintenance now, we've got that down a lot better than it used to be. And the big thing we've done with maintenance is follow-ups and communication. I've mentioned this early on, and because you know what it's like. You'll send out an email to just say it's a painter. Can you go back and do this? And all of a sudden, if you don't follow it up, 2 weeks later, the client's ringing you up saying you haven't come around. And they say, well, I've contacted the painter, and then they don't believe you. So you communicate all the time. As soon as you've contacted the painter, you let the clients know that you've done that. You follow the painter up to make sure he's got the email. Follow him up in a week's time to make sure it's been done. If it hasn't been done, when does he have a date so that we can let the clients know?
Sure.
Yeah. And then we go around and inspect them. Is what we do. If it's something suspect, like if it doesn't sound like it's something like us, we send a maintenance letter. So we send out a letter saying, yep, we're happy to come and have a look at it. But if it's not our responsibility when we get there, we'll be charging you, we say $120. We'll be charging you $120 an hour. That's going to include the travel time to get there, anything you ask it to do while we're there. And then it sorts a few of them out, like it makes them get up and, no, I did get an All-Star dish put on the roof. I best go and make sure it's not that leaking first.
Yeah.
And then we go there and it's something else, Yeah. We don't use it all the time. It's only ones we're a bit suspect of.
Sure, of course. I think it's very important because people seem to think builders have got an endless amount of time to work for free, and it just helps you manage expectations. So it's
absolutely.
We've got to strike as builders. We've got to position ourselves as industry as professionals, not as the client's slave. So we want to give good service, but that's not at our own expense of losing our valuable time with our families or other important things in our business. So I really like the balance you're striking there.
Yeah, it's really good. We're really happy with it. It's been invaluable a couple of times. So, because we send it out through DocuSign. So, all they've got to do is sign it, send it straight back. There's been a couple of times we've sent it out, never heard from them. They've never signed it, never sent it back. They've never rang us again. So obviously it was something that they had. Sure. And they just wanted someone to come and have a look at it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Who wouldn't?
That's it.
Yeah, good, Mark. Well, I guess I'm seeing you're quite prominent on social media with your videos, and I just thought I'd end with this question, and maybe you can share about how you found video an important part of your overall marketing strategy. What's been your experience there?
No, the video's been fantastic. Best thing we ever did. Yeah, look, photos, and this is just a real rough one, but just say it was going up on Instagram, we put a photo up, we might get 30 hits or something like that, you know. If it's a video we put up, it'll get 150 hits.
Yeah.
Like people are just, yeah, a lot more than just a photo. And it just tells a bit of a story too.
Of course.
It lets you be a bit more personable with people. The one thing I found is don't try and script it. Some people work really well with a script, I don't. The more I script it, the worse I go. So I never do anything now, I just start talking. You've got to remember, you're the professional, you know what and really you know what you're talking about. You know, you look at it every day, so you just wing it and away you go and just talk away, and it's pretty easy, I reckon. Yeah.
It's easy now, Mark. Did you find it daunting initially?
Oh, yeah, but like I said, I found it daunting when I was, you know, trying to be too rigid with it. Yeah. Now you just go in relaxed and just think, yeah, it's just me talking to this bloke, and away we go. Sure. And you just talk like you're explaining to a client or explaining to someone what you're looking at, you know.
Yeah. So your assessment is any video you put up is 5 times more effective, at least, than anything else you do.
Oh, absolutely. People love the videos, and you can do them with your phone. You know, we've got a fella that comes around and does them for us. We find that a bit easier, mostly because every time I try and do something with my phone, I've got my thumb over the lens or something like that, you know. So it's better off someone else with the video. But we find it's really good. Yeah, we enjoy it. It's easy to do. You knock them out pretty quick, and you can do a lot at once. Like we can go out and spend an hour or 2 there, and you might get 5 or 6 videos out of that. You know, we'll do 2 or 3 things on site while we're there, and I might talk about what sort of inclusions we're doing, what's this is, you know, just do a walkthrough and you explain about, you know, what the insulation is in the walls and all that sort of stuff, and then you can break all that up into bits and pieces, you know, and it gives you a lot of content. Yeah.
Mark, I was watching some research real estate REA put out, and they said the typical buyer's journey in our industry is about 14 months minimum. So from the first time someone thinks, oh, I might think about a new home, it's not until 14 months later that they're actually entering a transaction with a builder, at least. Right. So those videos you're doing are nurturing that client as they look around the industry and think, who should I go with? And so at times they know Mark Redding before they're doing business with you, or even show up at an office or a display home. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Absolutely. We've had people follow us for ages that we didn't know were there, and they said, oh, we've been watching this stuff for a long time. And we find it with the display home too. Like we might have people, you know, like you've written them off and put their file away, and all of a sudden it's a year and a half later and they turn up, you know, hey, how are you? You know, we had a look through ages ago, we've finally got a block of land and ready to do something. Yeah. So absolutely, yeah.
So it's not something you give up on if you don't get immediate feedback. It's something you just got to be consistent with, and you'll see the fruit of that in time. Yeah.
Absolutely. We do, I don't know if you see the one we do one called Natter Time. I do that with another builder where we just talk to each other. That's one of the easiest things we do.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Because it's just 2 builders talk, you know, one will ask a question, the other one will answer it, and then go back and forwards. Yeah. And that's just dead easy.
Yeah.
You know? And it doesn't have to be another builder. It could be one of your employees or a carpenter or a husband and wife, or, you know, anything like that. You do it between any 2 people.
Good. All right.
And you can bang a lot of them out easy. You know, we can do 12 or 14 of those in like 20 minutes.
Sure.
You know, so if you could punch out 25 of them, and all of a sudden you've got a year's worth of content that you can.
It's a lot easier if you're bouncing off someone else in that environment. So
yeah,
they're really good. I've seen them.
Yeah, and I haven't done one like that just recently, but sometimes I like doing the videos like that. So instead of it's you talking to the camera on the way through, it's good to be there with someone else. So it's you and a carpenter, or you and someone else just walking through and say, what about this and what about that? Yeah. And sometimes so you're not actually talking to the camera. That works out really well. Yeah.
I really like the one that your supervisor did a couple of months ago too, where you put the drone up over the house and then your supervisor talked through aspects of construction. It was very effective. Yeah, that was his first one. Was it? Yeah, and he went pretty good. He got put on the spot for that one pretty quick, but he'll be doing another one soon, so he knows what to expect. I expect so. He was really good at it. Yeah. No, and he's really good. You know, we're really happy with
the staff. As you know, we used to have a lot of employees. We're cutting back on that at the moment. So it's like carpenters out on the site, we're sort of cutting back on that and using more subbies at the moment.
Yeah.
We're finding that a bit more cost effective for us.
Sure.
But the staff we do have, especially our supervisors and foremans and admin and that sort of stuff, yeah, really got some good ones. I've come to the conclusion, I've given up getting young ones and trying to train them. I found that didn't work. I'm paying the best I can afford at the time, and I think that gets you ahead a lot quicker. And I'm learning just as much off them as they are off me when someone comes in with a lot of experience. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. All right. Well, I wonder if any of our attendees today have any questions for Mark. This will be a good opportunity. Tim can unmute your mic and of course can ask direct questions of Mark. Don't miss this opportunity. He's a wealth of knowledge.
If you can't do it now, you can ring me anytime.
Is anyone brave enough to put a question to Mark?
From Mark. Well done, Mark. It's from Darren.
No worries.
All right. Very good. Well, thanks again for joining us this afternoon, Mark. Like I said, we really value your input into the group, and as Mark's put out an invitation, if anyone wants to call in with any questions, it's always good for a bit of good advice, and I'm sure he'd be happy to hear from you.
No worries.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks again, Mark, and we'll see you all in a fortnight.
Sounds good.
See you later, mate.
Bye.
Bye for now.